"Mom, who is Isabella Chen? And why does this birth certificate say she's my mother?" Those words shattered 20 years of lies in a single moment. Maya Rodriguez had just discovered that everything she thought she knew about her identity was a complete fabrication. Her own mother had been lying to her face every single day for 2 decades, and the truth Maya found hidden in a basement box was so shocking that it didn't just change her past, it completely destroyed and rebuilt her future. But here's what will blow your mind. Maya's mother, Elena, wasn't the villain in this story. The real truth behind why Elena had been lying for 20 years is something no one could have predicted. And when Maya finally learned the whole story, it changed how she saw love, sacrifice, and what it really means to be a family forever. This isn't just another emotional story about family secrets. This is a true story so unbelievable that if it were fiction, you'd say it was too crazy to be real. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes the biggest lies are told by the people who love us most. Before we dive into this incredible journey of discovery, if stories like this fascinate you, stories about family secrets, hidden truths, and life-changing revelations, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We share real emotional stories like this one every week, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Maya Rodriguez grew up in suburban Phoenix, Arizona, in what seemed like the perfect family. Elena Rodriguez was the kind of mother who never missed a school play, who stayed up all night when Maya had the flu, who taught her how to drive on quiet Sunday afternoons. Carlos Rodriguez, her father, was a mechanic who worked long hours but always made time for Maya's soccer games. They seemed incapable of deception. Maya's childhood appeared completely normal. Birthday parties with homemade cakes, family vacations to the Grand Canyon, Sunday dinners with extended family. But looking back, Maya realizes there were always strange inconsistencies that she dismissed as family quirks. Elena would become vague when Maya asked about her birth, changing the subject quickly. There were whispered conversations between relatives that stopped when Maya entered rooms. Her birth certificate was locked away in a safe deposit box, unlike her friends' parents who kept such documents accessible at home. Maya's relationship with Carlos was especially strong. He taught her to change oil, throw a curveball, and stand up to bullies. Their Saturday morning garage time was sacred. Elena, while loving, was more reserved, showing affection through actions like packing elaborate lunches and staying up late helping with projects. There were other peculiar details Maya dismissed. Her maternal grandmother, Rosa Martinez, lived 30 minutes away but rarely visited. When she did come to gatherings, she looked at Maya with an expression containing both love and profound sadness. Maya's cousins on her mother's side maintained an odd distance, as if they knew something she didn't. Carlos's family, however, embraced Maya completely. They treated her as if she had always belonged, including her in everything, and never making her feel like anything other than a beloved family member. This contrast should have been a red flag, but Maya was too young to understand its significance. As Maya grew older, the inconsistencies became more noticeable. When she applied for her driver's license at 16, Elena insisted on handling all paperwork herself. When Maya needed her birth certificate for college applications, Elena provided a copy, but never let Maya see the original. These protective behaviors seemed loving but were actually calculated moves to maintain a carefully constructed narrative. The truth began unraveling on an ordinary Saturday in October 2023. Carlos had passed away 6 months earlier from a sudden heart attack, leaving Elena devastated and unable to cope with their large family home. Maya, now 25 and working as a veterinary assistant, had taken time off to help her mother pack and prepare for Elena's move to a smaller apartment. The house felt empty without Carlos. His coffee mug still sat in the kitchen sink. His glasses remained on the nightstand. Elena moved through rooms like a ghost, touching familiar objects and occasionally breaking down in tears she tried to hide from her daughter. Maya organized belongings methodically. Keep, donate, throw away. The process was emotionally exhausting, but Maya was determined to help Elena transition to this new chapter. They worked through each room, sharing memories associated with different items. and Maya found herself learning things about her parents' early relationship she'd never known. While cleaning the basement, Carlos's domain for his workshop and storage, Maya made the discovery that would change everything. Behind a shelf of Christmas decorations, she found a small cardboard box deliberately hidden from view. The box was old and worn, with Elena's name written on top in unfamiliar handwriting. Unlike other storage boxes, this one was sealed with tape and clearly untouched for years. Maya called upstairs to Elena about the box, but Elena was in the kitchen and either didn't hear or chose not to respond. After hesitating, Maya decided to open it and see what secrets her family had been keeping. Inside, Maya found documents that made no sense in her known reality. Hospital records from a pregnancy that didn't match Maya's birth date, correspondence with lawyers about adoption proceedings, and most shocking, a birth certificate with Maya's name but completely different parents listed. The document showed Maya had been born 3 months earlier than she'd always believed, and neither Carlos nor Elena was listed as her biological parent. Maya's hands trembled as she examined each document. There were letters from a woman named Isabella Chen, written in Spanish and English, expressing gratitude to Elena for taking care of our precious girl and promising to never interfere with the life you're building for her. Medical records showed Elena had never been pregnant. Legal documents outlined a private adoption finalized when Maya was 6 months old. The sound of footsteps made Maya look up to see Elena descending slowly, her face pale, eyes filled with fear and resignation. Elena had come to check on progress, but seeing Maya surrounded by the box contents, she knew 20 years of secrets were crashing down. "Maya, I can explain," Elena whispered. But Maya was beyond words. She held up the birth certificate with shaking hands. "Who is Isabella Chen? Who am I really?" Elena sank onto an old wooden stool, shoulders sagging under the weight of truth she'd carried alone. The moment she'd dreaded for 20 years had arrived, and there was no way to soften what she was about to reveal. "Isabella Chen was my best friend," Elena began, her voice stronger now that the secret was being shared. "We worked together at the hospital before you were born. She was a nurse, I was in administration. Isabella was young, only 18, and had fallen in love with a boy who left when he found out she was pregnant. She was scared, alone, with no way to support a baby." Elena gathered courage to continue the most difficult conversation of her life. Maya remained silent, clutching documents, trying to process information, rewriting her understanding of her origins. "Your father and I had been trying to have children for 5 years. We'd gone through fertility treatments, suffered 3 miscarriages, and finally accepted we might never become parents. When Isabella told me about her situation, it felt like fate giving us both an opportunity." The arrangement Elena described was heartbreaking in its complexity. Isabella wanted her child to have a stable home with loving parents, but couldn't bear giving her baby to strangers through traditional adoption. Elena and Carlos desperately wanted to become parents while ensuring any child they raised would feel completely secure in their love. Together, they devised a plan that seemed perfect. Isabella would continue her pregnancy while living with Elena and Carlos, allowing them to be part of the experience from the beginning. When the baby was born, Isabella would sign over parental rights, and Elena and Carlos would legally adopt the child. But to protect Maya from ever feeling unwanted or confused about her origins, they decided to create a new narrative, making the adoption invisible to everyone, including Maya herself. Elena explained how they'd moved to Phoenix when Isabella was 6 months pregnant, claiming Elena was expecting and needed a fresh start. They rented a small apartment together, and Isabella stayed out of sight during final pregnancy months, while Elena wore padding to simulate her own pregnancy. When Maya was born, Isabella spent 2 weeks bonding before making the heart-wrenching decision to honor their agreement and step back from Maya's life forever. Maya listened with growing amazement and horror. Every childhood detail was being recontextualized. The strange distance from her maternal grandmother made sense. Rosa Martinez wasn't actually her grandmother and had struggled to connect with a child not biologically related to her daughter. Whispered conversations at family gatherings had been relatives discussing whether Maya should be told the truth. Even Carlos's family's enthusiastic embrace took on new meaning. They'd known the truth from the beginning and made a conscious decision to love Maya completely, treating her as if she'd been born into their family. Their genuine affection hadn't been complicated by questions about biology. They'd simply chosen to love her unconditionally. The basement conversation lasted hours, with Elena answering every question Maya could think of, while apologizing repeatedly for the deception. By the time they emerged, night had fallen, and both women were emotionally exhausted. Maya packed the documents and told Elena she needed time to process everything. She drove home in a daze, her mind racing with implications she hadn't begun to consider. Maya lay awake that night trying to reconcile her emotional reality with her new factual reality. Elena and Carlos were the only parents she'd ever known. They'd loved, supported, and shaped her into who she'd become. But they'd also denied her the right to know her origins and created a false narrative affecting every relationship she'd formed. Over the next few days, Maya became obsessed with learning everything about Isabella Chen. She searched social media platforms, genealogy websites, and adoption registries, hoping to find some trace of the woman who'd given birth to her 25 years earlier. The search felt simultaneously like the most important and most terrifying thing she'd ever undertaken. Maya's research led her to a Facebook profile for Isabella Chen Martinez in San Diego, who worked as a pediatric nurse. The profile picture showed a woman in her early 40s with features remarkably similar to Maya's own. The woman's educational and professional background matched Elena's information about Maya's birth mother. The decision to reach out was agonizing. Maya drafted dozens of messages, each attempting to explain the situation without sounding crazy. How do you contact someone to tell them you might be the child they gave up over 2 decades ago? Finally, Maya settled on a simple, direct approach. She sent Isabella a private message explaining she'd recently discovered she was adopted and believed Isabella might be her birth mother. Maya included photos of herself and copies of documents, asking if Isabella would be willing to discuss the possibility they were related. Maya hit send before second-guessing herself, then spent days checking messages obsessively. Isabella's response came 4 days later, as a video call request while Maya was at work. Maya stepped outside and accepted the call, finding herself face-to-face with a woman who looked so much like her that there could be no doubt about their biological relationship. Isabella was crying before either spoke, and Maya felt her own emotions overwhelming her as she looked at features she'd inherited but never seen reflected in another person's face. "I've thought about you every single day for 25 years, Isabella said through tears. "I've wondered if you were happy, healthy, if Elena and Carlos were good parents. I've celebrated every birthday in my heart, imagining what you might be doing, what you might look like as you grew up." The conversation was emotional and revelatory for both women. Isabella explained that giving Maya up had been the most difficult decision of her life, but she'd been convinced it was right for everyone involved. At 18, she'd been working minimum wage jobs, living in a studio apartment with no family support. Maya's biological father had been a college student who disappeared when learning about the pregnancy. Isabella described Elena as an angel who'd appeared at the perfect moment, offering not just adoption, but genuine friendship and support during the most frightening period of Isabella's life. Elena had attended doctor's appointments, helped her eat properly during pregnancy, and treated her like a beloved sister rather than someone providing a service. But Isabella also revealed information Elena hadn't known or shared. After the adoption was finalized, Isabella had continued her education, becoming a registered nurse specializing in pediatric care. She'd married David Martinez when Maya was 5, and together they had 2 children, Maya's half-siblings Sofia and Miguel, now 17 and 15 respectively. The knowledge that she had siblings was overwhelming for Maya. She'd grown up as an only child, sometimes feeling lonely and wishing for brothers or sisters. Now she learned she had 2 half-siblings living just hours away for their entire lives, completely unaware of her existence. Isabella asked Maya hundreds of questions about her childhood, education, career, and relationship with Elena and Carlos. She wanted to know if Maya had been happy, if she'd felt loved and supported, and if the decision to give her up had resulted in the kind of life Isabella had hoped Maya would have. The conversation lasted over 2 hours, with both women crying, laughing, and marveling at strange circumstances that brought them back together after 25 years. They discovered shared interests, similar personality traits, and physical mannerisms clearly demonstrating their biological connection. Maya learned her love of animals came from Isabella, who'd always dreamed of becoming a veterinarian before circumstances forced her to choose a more practical path. The next major challenge was figuring out how to maintain her relationship with Elena while building a connection with Isabella. Elena was understandably worried that Maya might reject her now that she'd found her birth mother, and Maya struggled to reassure Elena that discovering her origins didn't diminish the love and gratitude she felt for the woman who'd raised her. Maya realized Elena had made enormous sacrifices to give her the childhood she'd experienced. Elena had given up her own dreams of pregnancy and biological motherhood to provide Maya with stability and love. Elena had endured years of complicated family dynamics, maintaining lies and managing relationships with people who knew the truth. Most importantly, Elena had loved Maya completely and unconditionally. The conversation between Maya and Elena about integrating Isabella into their lives was difficult but necessary. Elena admitted she'd always feared this day would come, and that she'd lose Maya when the truth was revealed. Maya assured Elena that learning about her biological origins didn't change her feelings, but she also needed Elena to understand that she wanted to build a relationship with Isabella and her half-siblings. Elena struggled with feelings of jealousy and inadequacy as Maya began spending time with Isabella, but she eventually understood that Maya's heart was big enough to love multiple parental figures without diminishing her love for any of them. Elena even agreed to meet Isabella in person, leading to an emotional reunion between two women who'd shared one of the most important experiences of their lives but hadn't spoken in over 20 years. The integration of Maya's two families was gradual, requiring patience, understanding, and flexibility from everyone involved. Maya's first meeting with Sofia and Miguel was arranged carefully, with Isabella preparing them for the existence of an older half-sister they'd never known about. The teenagers were initially shocked and confused, but quickly embraced Maya with the enthusiasm typical of young people excited about expanding their family circle. Sofia, 17 and preparing for college, was thrilled to have an older sister who could offer advice about career choices and adult life. Miguel, 15 and passionate about soccer, was excited to learn Maya shared his love of sports and had played competitively during school years. The three siblings bonded quickly, sharing personality traits and interests, clearly demonstrating their biological connection while appreciating their different life experiences. Maya also had to navigate reactions from Carlos's extended family, who'd known the truth about her origins from the beginning, but never discussed it openly. Maya's aunts, uncles, and cousins from Carlos's side were relieved the secret was finally out, and assured Maya that learning about her biological family didn't change their feelings about her at all. The most challenging aspect was figuring out holiday celebrations, special occasions, and important milestones. Maya suddenly had multiple families who all wanted to be included in significant moments of her life. Rather than seeing this as a burden, Maya began viewing it as a blessing, an unusually large support system of people who genuinely cared about her well-being. Maya's relationship with Isabella continued deepening as they spent more time together and learned about each other's lives. Isabella shared stories about Maya's early months, describing her personality as a baby and the heartbreak she'd felt leaving Maya with Elena and Carlos. Maya learned about her genetic medical history, discovering explanations for health traits that had always puzzled her doctors. Most importantly, Maya began understanding the full scope of sacrifice Isabella had made choosing adoption. Isabella had given up not just a child, but the opportunity to watch Maya grow up, to influence her development, and to receive Maya's love during the most rewarding parenting years. Isabella had trusted Elena and Carlos to provide Maya with everything she couldn't give herself, and that trust had been honored completely. The story of Maya's discovery and family reunification became a testament to the complexity of modern families and different ways love can manifest itself. Elena's love had been expressed through daily care, sacrifice, and creating a stable home environment. Isabella's love had been expressed through the ultimate sacrifice of giving up her child to ensure Maya had the best possible life. Maya's true story demonstrates that family secrets, no matter how well-intentioned, eventually reveal themselves. The truth about Maya's origins had been hidden for 20 years but never truly disappeared. Documents, relationships, and memories had preserved the reality of her birth circumstances, waiting for the right moment to emerge. This emotional story also illustrates the resilience of love and family bonds. Despite initial shock and confusion caused by the adoption revelation, all relationships in Maya's life ultimately became stronger. Elena and Maya's relationship deepened as they worked through the secret's implications. Maya and Isabella built a new relationship, honoring both Maya's history and their biological connection. Perhaps most importantly, Maya's experience shows that identity is more complex than simple biological facts. While learning about her origins was important for Maya's self-understanding, it didn't fundamentally change who she was as a person. Her values, personality, skills, and character had all been shaped by experiences with Elena and Carlos, and those influences remained central to her identity even after learning about her biological family. The revelation of this family secret story has had lasting positive effects on everyone involved. Maya now has a fuller understanding of her medical history, genetic background, and family heritage. She's gained 2 half-siblings who enrich her life with love and friendship. Elena has been freed from the burden of carrying a secret that had weighed on her for decades and has reconnected with Isabella after years of wondering how she was doing. Isabella finally has the opportunity to know the daughter she never stopped thinking about, and has seen that her difficult decision 25 years ago resulted in exactly the kind of life she'd hoped Maya would have. Sofia and Miguel have gained an older sister who can serve as a role model and mentor as they navigate their own paths to adulthood. Today, Maya describes herself as blessed with an abundance of family love, rather than burdened with a complicated family structure. She has parents who raised her with dedication and sacrifice, a birth mother who made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure her well-being, siblings who enrich her life with friendship, and extended families who have embraced her unconditionally. Maya's story has inspired other families dealing with adoption-related secrets to consider the benefits of openness and honesty in their relationships. She's become an informal counselor and advocate for families navigating complex emotions and relationships surrounding adoption, emphasizing that every situation is unique, but consistently advocating for age-appropriate honesty and open communication. Maya's experience has taught her valuable lessons about identity, family, and the nature of love that she carries with her in all aspects of life. She's learned that identity is multifaceted, and that discovering new information about her origins doesn't negate the experiences and relationships that shaped her. Maya has also learned that love is not finite. Loving Isabella doesn't diminish her love for Elena, and embracing her biological family doesn't threaten her relationships with Carlos's family. If you've been moved by Maya's incredible journey and want to hear more stories like this one, stories about family secrets, hidden truths, and the power of love to heal and transform relationships, make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on. We share real emotional stories every week that will make you think differently about family, love, and the complexity of human relationships. Have you ever discovered a family secret that changed everything you thought you knew about your origins? Or maybe you're dealing with the decision of whether to share a difficult truth with someone you love. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. This community is built on supporting each other through life's most challenging moments. Maya's story reminds us that families come in all shapes and sizes, and that love is ultimately what makes a family real. Whether you're adopted, adoptive parents, birth parents, or simply someone who believes in the power of truth and authentic relationships, Maya's experience offers valuable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the expandable nature of love. Thanks for watching, and remember, every family has a story worth telling.